himself.
Hi, I'm Chad Bourgeois. I'm the principal at Camp County High School, and even though the DLI kids are a few years out still from being in grade 9, wanted to make sure that we had an opportunity for families to ask questions of what that high school experience might look like. So a lot of the detail, Mr. Lyman here in a second will go through some of that stuff with you, but wanted to just make sure folks understood that we are very keenly aware that we have these DLI kids that are ready to rock into junior high, and we're super excited to have them in the pipeline to come to Camp County High School. So glad to be here today. Thanks for having me.
Hello, my name is Bertin Baish. Please don't believe anything Dr. Shannon is saying. Just as a disclaimer, as an ESL person, I have the right to speak a lot so that people can understand what I'm saying. No, we are really thankful to have you guys here and really excited to share the information that we usually share with parents at the beginning, at the entry point of the program, but as well as sharing with you guys what have been happening behind the scenes for both the transition as we go into junior high, the work that we've been doing both the state level and the collaboration with the universities, so that we can make sure that we're putting forth the best program for our students. Now I'll pass the mic to my compadre.
Good evening. My name is Dana Lyman. I'm principal at Twin Spruce Junior High. They might have made a mistake by giving me a mic and being able to talk about Twin Spruce, because I know somebody wanted to be home earlier, and giving me a mic, I might be here for quite a while talking about it. But yeah, we're getting prepared to move these kids from the elementary, where they've been for the last 6 years, up to our junior high. And our staff has been talking about this in our meetings, and we're starting to really get excited. We're excited to enhance our school with this program and everything that it brings. So hopefully we can answer any questions that we have going forward as Ms. Shannon goes through this presentation tonight.
And we also want to welcome Jill Borchers, the assistant principal at Twin Spruce, but she's sitting down there and didn't want the mic. But Jill, will you just... So, first of all, a lot of you have signed up for this program. Some of you came to the informational meeting, some of you have not. Why do we want our kids to be bilingual? There are a lot of studies on neuroscience that talks about the benefits of it. We're just going to share a really quick video, so those of you that have them coming into kindergarten all the way to otherwise, you'll understand some of our benefits.
You booked a sunny Verbo ski chalet with endless views of snow-covered peaks. Hablas español? Parlez-vous français? 你会说中文吗? If you answered sí, oui, or 会, and you're watching this in English, chances are you belong to the world's bilingual and multilingual majority. And besides having an easier time traveling or watching movies without subtitles, knowing 2 or more languages means that your brain may actually look and work differently than those of your monolingual friends. So, what does it really mean to know a language? Language ability is typically measured in 2 active parts, speaking and writing, and 2 passive parts, listening and reading. While a balanced bilingual has near equal abilities across the board in 2 languages, most bilinguals around the world know and use their languages in varying proportions. And depending on their situation and how they acquired each language, they can be classified into 3 general types. For example, let's take Gabriella, whose family immigrates to the US from Peru when she's 2 years old. As a compound bilingual, Gabriella develops 2 linguistic codes simultaneously with a single set of concepts, learning both English and Spanish as she begins to process the world around her. Her teenage brother, on the other hand, might be a coordinate bilingual, working with 2 sets of concepts, learning English in school while continuing to speak Spanish at home and with friends. Finally, Gabriella's parents are likely to be subordinate bilinguals, who learn a secondary language by filtering it through their primary language. Because all types of bilingual people can become fully proficient in a language, regardless of accent or pronunciation, The difference may not be apparent to a casual observer, but recent advances in brain imaging technology have given neurolinguists a glimpse into how specific aspects of language learning affect the bilingual brain. It's well known that the brain's left hemisphere is more dominant in analytical and logical processes, while the right hemisphere is more active in emotional and social ones. Though this is a matter of degree, not an absolute split. The fact that language involves both types of functions, while lateralization develops gradually with age, has led to the critical period hypothesis. According to this theory, children learn languages more easily because the plasticity of their developing brains lets them use both hemispheres in language acquisition, while in most adults, language is lateralized to one hemisphere, usually the left. If this is true, learning a language in childhood may give you a more holistic grasp of its social and emotional contexts. Conversely, recent research showed that people who learn a second language in adulthood exhibit less emotional bias and a more rational approach when confronting problems in the second language than in their native one. But regardless of when you acquire additional languages, being multilingual gives your brain some remarkable advantages. Some of these are even visible, such as higher density of the gray matter that contains most of your brain's neurons and synapses, and more activity in certain regions when engaging a second language. The heightened workout a bilingual brain receives throughout its life can also help delay the onset of diseases like Alzheimer's and dementia by as much as 5 years. The idea of major cognitive benefits to bilingualism may seem intuitive now, but it would have surprised earlier experts. Before the 1960s, bilingualism was considered a handicap that slowed a child's development by forcing them to spend too much energy distinguishing between languages, a view based largely on flawed studies. And while a more recent study did show that reaction times and errors increase for some bilingual students in cross-language tests, it also showed that the effort and attention needed to switch between languages triggered more activity in, and potentially strengthened, the dorsolateral prefrontal cortex. This is the part of the brain that plays a large role in executive function, problem solving, switching between tasks, and focusing while filtering out irrelevant information. So, while bilingualism may not necessarily make you smarter, it does make your brain more healthy, complex, and actively engaged. And even if you didn't have the good fortune of learning a second language as a child, it's never too late to do yourself a favor and make the linguistic leap from hello to hola, bonjour, or ni haos. Because when it comes to our brains, a little exercise can go a long way.
So that's just a really quick clip of understanding that you've given your children the opportunity right now to really get that brain engaged.
When we talk about bilingualism, there are so many advantages of providing that opportunity for our students and our kids, and that's why we are all here. So I am not going to repeat a lot of the elements that were highlighted in the video. However, I want to point out that when we talk about the concept of bilingualism, this is a reality that exists all across the world. It's something that seems kind of a new idea in our world today. However, all across the world, you find people who are bilingual or multilingual. We put those examples out there to show you, for example, like in the European Union, close to 60% of people can speak more than one language. There are countries where you actually find 99% of people speaking more than one language. I do have an accent. I come from Africa. In my own home country, we have over 460 dialects. I can speak all of them. However, people in schools are exposed on those languages, and it provides that opportunity and those opportunities that we talked about out there. In the United States, bilingualism it's a phenomenon that is growing, and providing our students with that opportunity to be able to acquire that second language open a lot of doors for them moving forward.
So for instance, just in May, Forbes, if you look up Forbes magazine, May 21st, 2021, the U.S. has the second largest population of Spanish speakers in the world. So Forbes is trying to say, how do you equip your brand to do this? Of course, Mexico was the leading, and we are the second leading. By 2050, they are suspecting that the United States, 1 out of every 3 people in the United States will be a Spanish speaker. So really what their conclusion was with compelling data about the number of Spanish speakers, no wonder the governments, organizations, and all the brands and companies are really looking and working to make sure they're including those, and they're going to need a workforce that can speak those.
So when we talk about the dual immersion program, there are 3 pillars that we truly focus on. And those are the driving force behind the program that we have, but behind also the programs that we see all across the United States. Those 3 pillars are bilingualism and biliteracy. And those 2 are words that some people interchange, but they mean slightly different things. A bilingual person is a person who can speak more than 1 language. A biliterate person is somebody who actually can be able to cover those 4 areas of the language. That includes speaking, listening, reading, and writing in that language at the proficiency level. And that is something that we really focus on when it comes to our program. We expose our students in those 4 areas on a daily basis. Another area that is really important to us is academic achievement. And that is an area that we are going to cover a lot for you guys to show you how our students are performing across the board within our buildings, but also in comparison to the district as well as the state. Finally is the cultural awareness. I always tell Dr. Shannon that is not me out there, although that dude kind of look like me. It's not me. But when you're talking about cultural awareness, we really engage our students in that cultural appreciation. And you will see that in the diversity of teachers that we have. You will see that in the celebration of cultures that we bring forth for our students, so that they can be able to have that global mindset and be able to engage people who come from different backgrounds, ethnicity, as well as a diverse educational but also linguistic background. So those are the 3 pillars that really drive the work that we do both as Dr. and Bride.
So Dr. Shem, who is the University of Wyoming, we worked a lot with her. She's in charge of the ESL programming there. And what she really says is, at the bottom, she's talking about the benefits of bilingualism extending beyond language, the academic and cognitive development. And just to list a couple, it's improving competitiveness in the job market, contributing to economic development statewide, nationally, and internationally, and really having that connection where kids are understanding different cultures. I remember years ago we had a student of ours, they were at a restaurant, we were with the new arriving Spanish teachers, so when they introduced the mother to the new Spanish teacher, the teacher went up to kiss her on the cheek. That is a very common greeting in most of our Spanish-speaking world. And the parent went like, whoa, like, that's weird, don't kiss me, right? In that, the student went and told the mother, I can't believe you're that rude, Mom. That's their culture. And that's how you greet people. So it's a lot of that learning about that as well that we get from this.
So when we talk about the dual immersion program, what is the history in the United States? The history of the dual immersion program goes all the way in the 1960s. And actually, I can venture to say, if you go back to the Puritans and Mayflowers and when all those immigrants were coming out, I remember talking to my wife's grandparents who still have the German Bible. And how that they were exposed to German language back all the way there. But if you look in the migration that happened in the 1963s with the afflux of Cuban immigrants in the southeastern part of the country, many of those Cubans came in with the idea that things are going to calm down back home in Cuba and they will be able to return. And with that idea, they wanted to preserve the primary language because they were convinced that they would like to provide that opportunity for the children to be able to be successful when they return back to Cuba. Needless to say that that never happened. But that's where those programs start happening in the United States, and specifically in that portion of the country. And then in the U.S., in 2002, the U.S. Congress actually passed the U.S. Bilingual Education Act that became the English Language Acquisition and Language Enhancement and Academic Achievement Act that really propelled this program on the forefront. In our region out here, Utah really took the leadership in that process and actually created a program that was a statewide program. And we're going to be referring to that Utah model up in our presentation today, and that has been the foundation for our program that we have here in Gillette. I am not going to bore you with all the details out there, but I want to talk specifically about Wyoming. These programs have been made their way in Wyoming, specifically in Teton County in 2009, Jackson. And there was a lot of migrant workers in the area, and the district took the initiative to provide opportunity to those families, and that's where the program started. So in 2009, in Teton County, 2013, Natrona County decided to start a Mandarin Chinese program. During that around same time, there was some conversation that were happening here, driven by our leadership and the board that wanted to explore that opportunity for Campbell County. Fast forward 2014, Natrona decided to expand from Mandarin Chinese to Spanish program in the district. In 2016, we started the program here in Campbell County. A little history out there. We actually looked at both Mandarin Chinese and Spanish at that time. I remember being part of those exploratory committees, and there was a team that had to go all the way to China to look about the language and understanding the structure of instruction in China. We made also trips up to Utah, Salt Lake City, and toured some schools out there. We reached out to our families, and we learned that, overwhelmingly, our community wanted that we offer Spanish as a program in our Immersion program. Fast forward, we were fortunate enough to have, at that time, the structure being rebuilt, and we had Dr. Shannon joining us, and that's how we started the program. On that first year, anybody who was interested in the program was almost given the opportunity to come in. And that first year, also, that was the only year where we provided opportunity for first graders to join the program. Normally, we focus on kindergartners. The following year, there was a lot of interest in the program that we actually brought in a lottery system so that we can be able to provide equal opportunity to everybody. But we have a lot of parents who find themselves on the waiting list, and that propelled the district to expand the program to Rawhide Elementary School. And there was two reasons for that. Number one, with my multilingual background, that was one of the things, but also we had space to expand in the building the program up there and accommodate the program from kindergarten all the way to 6th grade. So that's where the program have been, and now we are able to offer two sections of the program, both Stock Trail and Rawhide, and we're really thankful for the opportunity and the trust that you put into this program and our school for the past 6 years.
So we're talking about word of mouth, and a lot of people are now registering or into the lottery because of word of mouth, and they haven't been to our meetings. But what we have is we do have a lot of information that we want to share of why and what's been going on behind the scenes. But it's really all based in research. And so when you see a dual language program, if you look up there at the 50%, this is a longitudinal seminal study that was done by Thomas and Collier actually in 2002, following all of these programs. There's a lot of different kinds. There's ESL programs, there's bilingual early programs, and that's not what we're doing. We're looking at the dual language. This study was done with only native Spanish speakers, okay? And who oftentimes don't have a great trajectory in their educational system. And it's based on a national reading study. And 50% is where any student that's going to a regular class that's not in a dual language program, they hit the 50%. That's the bell curve where they want them. What we wind up seeing through this study, and if anyone wants it, it's easy, it's cited down at the bottom. In kindergarten, all kids, regardless of the language they speak, achieve about the same in their reading. And by the time they get to second grade, you see that they're still kind of all stuck together. So when we're in second grade and your kids are in a dual language program, we don't expect them to do really better than anyone else based on this study. Now remember, this study is based on native Spanish speakers. This is not based on English speakers. By the fourth grade, and really when you start getting to the sixth grade, you notice that dual language immersion for Spanish-speaking students really starts to take off. That's when content gets a lot harder. By the time they're in seventh grade or sixth grade, these kids that only spoke Spanish when entering school are suddenly on par with an English-speaking kid that was in an all-English classroom. By the time they reach 12th grade and graduate, they are so much higher performing than their counterparts that were only in an English-speaking class. This is looking at those that are learning English as a second language. Imagine what it's doing for those that are learning Spanish as a second language but had that foundation in reading. And we'll share data in a little bit to go over that. But what we do is when we're talking about what we've been doing behind the scenes to ensure that our kids and our program is on the right trajectory, we've been working with the state, we've been working with the university, and Mr. Bahij will share a little of that state work.
When we started this program, we realized, and we've been working collaboratively with both Natrona County as well as Teton County in Jackson, and we actually have become leaders in terms of the state work in pushing this program forward. We meet on a quarterly basis with both counties to really align ourselves across the state. We collaborate with both the state in WDE, which is the Wyoming Department of Education, to really align our practices across the state and being able to provide some kind of a uniform approach to the dual immersion program in our state. We work with the Professional Teaching Standard Board to create certification, because we are going to talk about staffing up in a bit. How do we have our teachers who are foreigners being able to teach in Wyoming? That is the work that Dr. Shannon and I are heavily involved with and lead at the state level and provide support actually to Natrona and Jackson in terms of what that structure is supposed to look like. What are those certifications supposed to look like? What kind of paperwork that requires? What kind of level of academic expectation those teachers have to have. So we are heavily involved at the state level to ensure that we have quality teaching and teachers who are coming and joining our program.
So we've also been working from the get-go, and like I started, we've been terrible at communicating this information, but there's been tons of work behind the scenes to get the entire state to change certification criteria, because they'll accept now a foreign diploma as well as a local one. Working with the university, we've worked with the College of Ed and that ESL department. We've really worked on pathways, so if you're going to get an education degree, you learn how to teach languages through an ESL and dual language immersion endorsement program. So we've been working, we've been presenting to those classes. We've also been at work with the College of Arts and Sciences at the university with their Modern and Classical Languages department, creating pathways that your kids at Campbell County High School will have the opportunity to engage in. And here is a clip from a professor of Spanish.
Mom, categorically wrong.
We're getting there. We practiced, I promise.
To a second categorical.
Hold on a second.
Reasoning locates morality.
I promise we practiced.
Okay.
Hi all. I hope you're having a great day so far. My name is Chelsea Escalante, and I'm an assistant professor of Spanish and linguistics at the University of Wyoming. And I hear that you all are parents, administrators, and advocates for the children in the dual language immersion program in Campbell County. And I just want to congratulate you on your choice for supporting your children in that way. Such a powerful gift that you're able to give them the ability to acquire a second language at a young age. And I just am really excited that you chose that path for your child, and I know that it will serve them for many years in the future. I've been at the University of Wyoming now for 4 years, and during that time I have been actively researching dual language immersion in the state of Wyoming, and also volunteering a lot in the classrooms in Laramie, the local DLI classrooms in Laramie. I have children in the Laramie program, and so I've been active on that end as well. And I've also had the opportunity to travel around the state, and specifically up to Gillette. I was able to go up there for a few days and observe. I met your students' teachers, I met some of your students, and the administrators, the principals, and got to see how the program is going. And I was so impressed by the overall organization of the program, how it's been implemented, and the dedication that the stakeholders have, all of you guys, in maintaining that kind of direction for your program. It was really, really great to see. Here at the University of Wyoming, in my department, which is the Department of Modern and Classical Languages, we are currently working with DLI programs around the state to create options for your students when they get into high school to be able to receive college credit. So far we've been in contact with Natrona County and Campbell County about the possibility of creating specific courses for high school students that would align with our courses here that we offer at the University of Wyoming, and we would deliver those courses remotely for students in high school. And that would be, those would be for once they have already exhausted the possibilities, the classes available at the high school level. So they would start off taking classes that are already available to high school students, and then when they've exhausted those possibilities, they would enter into our classes that would be specifically designed for high school students, but that would cover the same material that we do here at the University of Wyoming. That way they can get college credit while they're still in high school. So I just wanted to let you know that that is in the works, and we're actively working on making that a reality for our DLI programs around the state. And I just want to encourage you all to continue supporting the DLI program at your schools, and look forward to meeting your children one day in a college Spanish course.
Dr. Escalante is somebody that we work with collaboratively a lot. Well, we're so excited that she can be able to show you guys a little bit of the work that we do together. When it comes to staffing, we work tirelessly to ensure that we have quality teachers when it comes to our program. I have to start by saying our goal is always to be able to have a strong foundation with local teachers. However, that is easy said and done. So we work really hard to try to recruit locally, but also within our state, as well as neighboring states. However, that sometimes is just not a possibility. I have to share this with you guys. We are blessed to have currently as doctoral teachers who are Americans, who are going to be there for the long haul. We have a Peruvian American, we have a Puerto Rican teacher, but we also have a Colombian teacher, a Mexican teacher. We have 3 teachers who are exchange teachers from Spain. All 4 teachers are rawhide exchange teachers, and I'm going to explain that to you guys, what that process looks like. We actually have a student teacher from the University of Wyoming, which she's a product of the collaboration that we are having within ourselves and the University of Wyoming to provide those local students who are interested in education opportunities to actually come and experience the program and hopefully being able to choose to stay in our community and work with our students. So we have a great partnership with the Ministry of Education, the Spanish Ministry of Education, that we work with them, we provide them our list in terms of the needs that we have, and they're able to provide us with teachers and put us in touch with them so that we can interview them and determine who are the best qualified teachers and the ones who best function in our community as well as in our state. So when we go through that process, Dr. Shen and I initially were making the trip to Spain to be able to actually interview these teachers face to face and make those selections. And then there's a platform of paperwork that have to happen afterwards before those teachers actually come to us. And once they come here, we have to work with the state to ensure that they have the right paperwork to teach in our schools, ensure that they have housing and all that jazz that happened there. A lot of questions sometimes that I receive, and Dr. Shannon also have told me that received, why are they here for short term? Those exchange programs are slated for 3 years commitment with a possibility of 2 years expansion. And it's called an exchange program because those teachers, once they are here, after they've experienced our American education system, they take that knowledge back. And as they are here, they also bring the knowledge and the culture and share that with us. So it's a 2-way exchange structure. But although it says 3 years, some of our teachers can only stay 2 years because it depends upon the school districts there, as well as the schools that they're coming from. Some principals, some school districts can only offer them a 2-year possibility, so that can limit things out. However, we always work with them and work with the Spanish Ministry of Education to see if we can be able to elongate that. Currently, we have a teacher going into her 3rd year, and we are working to extend that to 5 years because she have been granted that permission with her school that she can be able to do that. So I just wanted to explain to you guys how that process works and how and why sometimes we have the changes that we end up changing throughout the course of the program with the focus and the targets for our local teachers and educators.
And we're going to go really quickly because I know everyone's got a busy night and it's hard to sit here after you've been sitting in school. Just letting you know that we still are trying to recruit always from the University of Wyoming or any regional universities. Finding someone with a Spanish level proficiency is vital. And so sometimes that's not an option. We're hopeful that a student teacher will stay with us next year. Also, as we go on, the DLI lottery process, you've all gone through it. If you have younger siblings, you still have to get onto the website and go to it and register your next siblings that are grandfathered in. So we always have informational meetings for this lottery. Lately, over the past 2.5 years, we've had no one show up to our DLI informational meetings. So we're getting kids on the lottery list, so that word of mouth may be good, but some of the word of mouth isn't always positive, and we are battling a lot of people saying, don't put your kid in that program, they'll never learn 2 languages at once. We know that happens. We know and we hear, and I have friends that say, oh, I was going to put them on there, but someone told me don't ever enter your kid in a dual language program. That's the wrong thing to do. That being said, we really need to increase the word of mouth, and we need to increase the information that we're sharing. We'll be better about our communication. We're going to ask you to also do that. Now the overview. Years ago, for those of you that came to those meetings, we followed the Utah model. That's the region that we are following. That being said, we are looking really at our secondary trajectory. This is what we originally showed everyone, that the trajectory on the